everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we're really excited today. We have a bonus episode for you. We are here with the stars of the new rom-com Royal Facade. We have Weixin and Isaac Akers. And thank you both so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, it's so fun to have you. This is the first time for both of you on the podcast. What we'd like to do is give you both a chance to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you got started in what inspired you to get into acting.
Okay, so the question was how I got started in acting. I guess I just grew up doing a lot of like movement and dance and musical theater, performing arts, and just never considered that it was an actual career. And then in college, while I was at BYU, I just randomly got scouted by this acting agency out here. And I was teaching at the time, teaching grade school. And I thought, yeah, why not? That sounds fun. And so I did that professionally just as a side job for the last 8 years. And then when I retired from teaching, I just decided to make the shift to full time because why not? I loved doing it. And I thought I was half decent at it. So, but yeah, that was back in 2017. So been doing it full time ever since.
Wow. So were you involved in theater and things like that growing up, or it just kind of surprised you?
Yeah, no, I did all the way. So elementary school, junior high, and high school, I was always in plays and always in musicals. And then when I went to college, that's when I just, shifted to just focus on my degree and, trying to be social and have some semblance of a life, I guess. Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Isaac?
Can I just quickly interject and ask, between being just a student and then a teacher, when did you learn to become a ninja? Like, when did all the ninja stuff happen? That I'm always trying to figure this out. This girl can move like nobody else. And you're like, where did that come from?
Ninjas don't sleep, so that's how we fill our dead time in the middle of the night. When we're not allowed to go around and slit throats and we have to do something with our time, that's what we do. Yep.
I guess for me, my family, my mom did theaters for elementary schools and middle schools and high schools in a district I was not a part of. And I was not part of those, but I would come help her build the sets and run the lights. I was kind of a techie behind the scenes. And then my dad did like a community theater. Again, I was not in the theaters, plays. I would just set up the sets and whatnot. And I was mainly into sports. And then in college, I took an elective that was in theater, and this lady was like, hey, you seem to be having a fun time with this. She did not say, hey, you're good at this. She said, hey, you're having fun. Maybe you should come talk to my agency. And so I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And that kind of got my foot in the door. And then I just enjoyed it. Gave me something to focus on after the soul crushing defeat of college ended track. So
yeah, well, I mean, they'll get you one way or another, right? It's like, yeah. There's this new movie that came out this summer called Ghostlight. It's so good. I highly recommend it. But it's about this community theater, and there's this kind of grumpy guy who is working construction, and he's had this tragedy in his family. But it's a sad but it's a charming movie about this community theater. They basically recruit him. He's doing construction outside of their theater, and they're like, "Hey, we need your help to do this exercise or whatever." And so they recruit him, and then he ends up being Romeo in Romeo and Juliet. And I'm like, this could be a whole new strategy for community theater. Like, who's literally outside our building? Come in.
The water boy of theater.
Yeah. So anyway, it's really, really cute. But yeah, so are both of you from Utah then?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, cool. I'm from Utah. So so that's fun. So let's talk about this Royal Facade. And why don't you, Isaac, tell the listeners a little bit about the movie?
Yeah, it's a fun little rom-com written by Paul Cartwright about there's a princess. So you got that going. If you've seen a Hallmark movie, it's going to be a good one if there's a princess in it who wants to get away from all her princess duties because she has inherited a lot. I play the princess between the two of us, if you hadn't guessed that.
And he's very good at being the princess.
Bold casting.
Retreats to a town, and there's a bit of a mix-up over identities. So there's two people putting on facades of who they may or may not be, and they kind of fall in love, but they don't really know who they've fallen in love with. So there's a lot of back and forth kind of, it's a lot of good laughs. Yeah. Did you see it?
I did see it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I thought it kind of had 12th Night vibes a little bit. You know?
Not seeing that one.
Yeah. It's because it's also about twins and mistaken identities and everything. And so that, Isaac, must have been fun because you play a movie star as one twin and a more ordinary guy. So was that fun playing those two parts?
In short, yes. In long, yeah.
Well, that's good.
A lot of goofing off.
Yeah. What about you, Wei? Was that fun to play a princess?
It was a lot of fun. I feel like in real life, I'm as far from royalty as you can get. So it was a fun challenge.
Yeah.
Now
your character has to deal with like some anxiety, and you had to play like having an anxiety attack and things like that. What was that like for you?
Oh, it was just easy. I just, channeled the existing anxiety that I had and just let the floodgates open.
You're like, I had one before starting the role.
Yeah, no, it was good. No, it was really good. What I appreciated was just like the team of people, specifically like Ethan and Jade, and Paul, Tiffany, so you had the producers and the director, who were just so they were very open with me about like giving me the time that I needed to prep for these scenes, just because they're like, for me in my acting, I like my acting to feel really authentic and organic. And so for me, in order to feel real, like I like to step into a place where I'm drawing on real things. That way my portrayal feels more organic. And so in those moments, like they were really great about giving me the time that I needed to prep for those scenes. I mean, there was a minute during the movie where it's before Princess Abali has her panic attack in front of the crowd when she's handed the throne. And we were shooting that first thing right after lunch. And I remember during lunch, Paul just like let me go and find a quiet place, just kind of like meditate and like, channel and center my energy. And he was really great about it, just quietly like kept everyone else at bay and just, really just calmly explain like, hey, we're gonna give Wex some space to get to the scene. And then he'd come and check on me and make sure I was ready. So that helped a lot. It also helps when you have stupid talented people to play across of, and it makes those moments really easy and organic. Talking about you, Isaac, don't worm your way out of this one. Isaac doesn't really like compliments, which is infuriating because he's incredibly talented. You saw the movie, the kid stole the show, but he likes to like dance around the compliments and wiggle his way out of them and stuff. But he made it very, very easy to do my job.
Could you relate to that whole sort of fear of crowds that she has? To that just being like overwhelmed?
Are you asking me or Isaac? I feel like the answer is similar.
Yeah.
It's not so much for me like a fear of crowds. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily shy. I just I feel like sometimes when there's a lot of people, I don't enjoy being like in inauthentic places. So like being the center of attention when I feel like people don't really, like at the red carpet event after, it was really sweet to see so many people turn up and support. But inwardly, I was really uncomfortable because it was just a lot of strangers walking up and congratulating me and like making me feel very special when I was like, I don't think I'm any more special than anyone else. And so it was hard to just sit there and be like, thank you,
I can see that.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies. Was it fun though, Isaac playing like this movie star and having to be like all cool?
Yeah, it gives, like I said, it gives a fun outlet because similar probably to Wex, it's like there's different styles of acting, like from mechanical to just organic to whatever. And I feel like with Benning Anderson, it's just more of a me, just play yourself.
Yeah.
Somebody else's words and make them you. And then with Bennington, it kind of, it's kind of just like school's out. You just get to, or like a sandbox mode of a video game where you can do whatever the heck you want and there's no consequences because you're like, but this is the character. I could be a total tool. So have a fun time with that.
Yeah. I think it would be fun. So, and when you're assigned when you're assigned a co-lead in something like this, like how do you two work on like building chemistry? Was there anything you did?
All right. Yeah. It's an interesting, still learning on that one. This one, for both of us, it's like we'd both been stuff, but as we'd talked about before, it's like this was the first time both of us had been like the lead in something that was like Wex sort of knew some of the people. That's why they asked her to come audition, because they're like, hey, we remember working with you on this thing and you're awesome, come read for us. And then, but like we didn't really have any skin in the game. Like in this state, you can produce and shoot your own stuff, you can write your own stuff, and I commend anybody that does that. It's extremely difficult, but at the same time, it was like to be somebody's complete outside pick. This was kind of a first step for both of us, carrying a whole feature film that we're like, people are actually going to see this. There's somewhat writing on this. And so when approaching her, it's like, hey, we'd like randomly worked on like 3 or 4 things in the past together, but never really
knew each other.
Talked. Well, we never actually really talked. Like,
we never actually really sat and chatted or talked.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was like, we're like passing in a hallway after she just got done doing some crazy fight scene choreography. And I was like, hi, I'm Isaac. And she like was gone. And she was like, get out of my face.
That's such a lie.
No. But so, yeah, kind of first time meeting someone, you're like, hey, we have to get along because there's like something riding on this. And I'm going to be honest, like the first like bit, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get like along with her. So I'm just going to like mute myself as much as possible so that if there's like anything, I can be a bit much sometimes. So I'm like, I can't let her hate me for the sake of this film. I can't be too much me. But then as like the weeks went on, the more and more of ourselves that came out kind of became just like best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's like, there has to be like a real balance of like, okay, we're here to do a job, but at the same time, for the sake of the art too, like actually getting to know this person, that really helps. Sometimes I almost feel like it didn't come through as much on the screen as like we're having so much fun behind the scenes that on the screen, I was like, there's not a whole lot, because so much of the film were separated until
that's true.
And there's very little interaction where you actually get to, and most of our scenes together are somewhat like either we're in disguise trying to pretend who we're not, or it's a very serious moment. And so it was like, there's like a couple like little, you call them like B-roll, like filler shots, where there's not dialogue, there's just music playing, where there's a little bit of like us being us on screen. But I kind of wish there'd been a few more of those scenes, but the scene in the diner is probably the closest to that, where it was just having fun.
Well, maybe we can save that for the sequel, Royal Facade 2.
Oh yeah. It's all written.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. What about you, Wei? Did you have a strategy at all going into this for building chemistry?
I did not. I think my approach going into it was just kind of what Isaac was saying. Like I felt immense amount of pressure. It was just, a lot of people taking a very big risk on you and really trusting you to carry like their passion project, their baby child, to fruition. And so there was a lot riding on it. And I mean, Isaac and I, like he said, we both worked in lead capacities, but it was just like in a rom-com as like the two leads, like that was both new for both of us. And so I remember being like, okay, I've got to give it my all and just do what I need to do to like make this successful for everyone who's taking a chance on me. There's a lot riding on this. And I remembered just kind of being like, you know what, like the more that I can get to know Isaac and get comfortable with him, then the more that natural like chemistry will be easier to portray on screen. And so I remember like the first conversation that he and I had, we just like sat down. It was just kind of like this, like, get to know you sort of like, so, this and this. And it pretty much shifted where we both realized, I think we bonded over our mutual anxiety because we both had this, like, I had this crippling anxiety of like, oh, I can't like take this. Like, there's a lot writing on this. I have to show up for this. Like, I've got to be the best, I have to make this like this performance as great as I can, like, and so I put like all of my heart and soul into this project. And I felt like Isaac was on the same page and we kind of had bonded over that where it's like, oh, you feel this anxiety too. Like no one else is walking the same walk and experiencing the same things as both of us, And I think because of that, that helped me feel connected. And then it made it feel like instead of me on like in this role in a movie, it felt like it was like an us, like together we are carrying this film. And so because I felt like I had a teammate in that, it helped and made, I feel like, the rest of it a whole lot easier, Yeah. Yeah. Like it feels like someone's in your corner. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Team. That's good. Yeah. So where in Utah was this filmed? It's here, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, kind of all over.
All over. Okay.
Utah and Salt Lake County. I don't think we ever ventured further outside of that, right?
Did we go up to Salt Lake? I think it was all like down in Utah County.
Okay, so all like Provo.
We went up to that Get Out games. It was South Jordan.
Oh,
but that's right. Yeah, that's right. High Gear Games.
High Gear Games.
Proud sponsor.
Did I say Get Out games?
There you go. Well, I thought one of the funniest scenes or most enjoyable scenes was the near kiss. And then he just starts monologuing because he's so insecure. I thought
the best part
that was fun
about that scene. That was Isaac all ad-libbing.
Oh, okay.
I feel like Paul maybe gave him like a general, like, like after like maybe you feel awkward, you feel let down. But I just remember stepping off and it was one take. That was one take. And I'm behind the camera with Tiffany and Jade, the two producers, and Paul and Carson are, actually on the monitor, like actually holding the camera and whatever. And the three of us girls are like peeing our pants, trying not to laugh and make sound because Isaac just monologued. And there was a lot more that didn't make it, like that ended up getting cut, but it was brilliant. Like that whole thing was one take. They cut away, to show that like time is passing and whatever. But he did all of that in one long take and it was just one take and it was brilliant. Like he did not get directed. That was all just
so smooth when you're getting to compliment somebody else and not having to get a compliment. You're in your happy spot.
Well, that's pretty good though that you did that.
Way to go. It was so good.
Yeah.
What you said? What was your favorite part, Rachel?
I really enjoyed the near kiss.
Oh yeah.
Scene, and you kind of start monologuing because you're insecure.
Have you seen a lot of like kind of local, lower budget films from this area?
I've seen quite a few. Yeah, I mean, especially rom-coms. I mean, and this one definitely it had the feel of the Hallmark movies, which of course we cover on the podcast, but it was more low budget than a Hallmark movie. But yeah, I've seen quite a few. Yeah.
What draws you? What do you feel like are some of the elements that draws you to these films that you enjoy?
I just love rom-coms in general. I feel like romantic comedies are hopeful and I just feel like we all need a happily ever after every now and then, especially in this day and age. And I guess I do kind of feel like particularly made for TV movies are kind of the underdog of the movie world. That people put a ton of heart and soul into them. They're very cute. And Hollywood used to make movies like that all the time, but they almost never do. You might get like one real rom-com a year, maybe two. And so you kind of have to go to the streaming or made for TV route if you want your rom-com fix. And yeah, I guess I like rooting for sort of underdogs. And you see of course, there's some flaws, and you can feel the budget, but I think they can be quite charming.
Yeah. What are things that, like, when it comes to the characters, what are, like, because I imagine your podcast is called Hallmarkies, and I looked up, you've done a lot of episodes, and I know they don't all cover like Hallmark stuff, but I imagine you've seen your fair share of films over the year. What are like some character
things? Like last year I watched reviewed over 500 films. So it's busy. I'm busy, but especially Christmas. It's so interesting because people will say that all the time, that like I'll have one of these that I really don't like, and then one that I really like, and people will say they're the same movie. Why do you not like one and not like the other? And it's a tricky thing. A lot of it is sort of the chemistry, and if the banter is working for me, if I'm laughing, if I'm enjoying it, if I feel like it's clever, then and I'm feeling the chemistry between the actors, which has got to be the most frustrating part on the part of the development team, because there've been many of one that on paper it seems like, oh, this is going to be a great matchup, and then it just doesn't work on screen for whatever reason. And what's interesting is that a lot of times the married couples who you think would have amazing chemistry completely falls flat. There are very few of these Hallmark movies with married leads that have actually been good. And my theory behind that is that I think that they're just so comfortable with each other because they're married, and that spark, that chemistry, it just doesn't. It reads as kind of apathy on screen, where you think it would be. Yeah, I mean that's my best guess, because there really have not been very many that have been good. And so, not that you don't want to get along with your co-star, of course you do, but it's got to be the most frustrating thing on the part of production, because it's so tricky to nail, is that chemistry. But it's just one of those things. But yeah, the banter, and I mean, I guess I am like, it's so interesting because as a film critic, I've been pretty tough this year. There's been hardly anything that I've liked, but like especially these mainstream movies, I've just found to be bloated and frustrating for the most part. But I guess something like a really fun little tight rom-com is just usually gonna win me over, because I just really love the genre, and I like people falling in love.
From your viewer seat, what do you feel like? Could you describe what in your mind makes you feel like chemistry is working or is not working? Like, how would you describe or point that out?
Like I said, it's kind of ephemeral, and so I'm sure it's frustrating for people making the movies, but you just want that connection. You want to believe that the people are really falling in love.
So you just feel like you kind of just feel it from
and the banter really does help a lot in how well they can pull off romantic comedy banter. Will kind of go a long way to sort of building that chemistry. So that's what I would tell people to like focus the most on, is like how I don't know, how are you executing that banter? And but it's a tricky thing. I'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Factor Meals. Fall is here, and that means most of us are busier than ever before. School is back up, lots of activities are happening, and we need a way to make our lives easier and healthier. That's where Factor Meals comes in. Cooler days are here. Fuel up for these days with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time for all your fall activities thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. Head to factormeals.com/Hallmarkies50 and use code Hallmarkies50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code Hallmarkies50 at factormeals.com/Hallmarkies50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active.
Hey, if the chemistry is there and the story is not,
how
do you scale that?
I am extremely forgiving. If it could be there's been some very silly movies for Hallmark, that if I'm enjoying the chemistry and the banter, then it's all part of the fun. Yeah. Especially in these Christmas movies, it can get very silly. I'm trying to think of like a good recent example. Of course, my mind's gone blank, but there's a million royal movies for Hallmark. They love those, especially. I think the royal wedding was like 2018.
No, this has never been done before.
Yeah. That year there were like 7 just for Hallmark alone, let alone the other networks. It was like it was there were so many royal movies. I'm trying to think. Let me see here.
There was only one.
Yeah, I don't know who's doing the interview here. But
Our movie actually was meant to be a Christmas movie.
Oh, was it?
Where my character beats his to death a Christmas tree. And so we'll just make it a royal movie.
It was a good ending. Yeah.
It was a really great.
We filmed it. Well, they didn't film it. We did the scene, but
yeah, we didn't even use a prop tree.
Well, Hallmark actually had a great August. I was really happy with their output this last August. It was really fun. They had a bunch of movies that had a little bit of whimsy to them, which they don't tend to do on Hallmark. Usually it's your sort of bread and butter rom-com, they meet at work and have to plan a party of some kind or something like that. But it was really fun. They were definitely stretching themselves. There was a movie called Junebug with a woman who meets her 12-year-old self, this little girl, and she has all these conversations, and that was fun. And then there was one called My Dreams of You, which was very creative about this girl. She starts having these dreams of this man, and it turns out that the people at Dream Central, they had this whole setup of like Dream Central, she got the wrong dream through various shenanigans. Got the wrong dream, and so then like the operator at Dream Central realizes her mistake. She's like, "Oh no, I just gotta fix it," and she was hilarious. I loved her at Dream Central. She was so good, that actress. And so now all of a sudden, like she's like, have they messed up fate? Because all of a sudden, this person that she wasn't supposed to be with, she's having these dreams about him, and then they meet, and it was it was very fun. And then they had one called A Costa Rican Wedding, which was sort of more your basic screwball comedy of these two going to a friend's wedding in Costa Rica, and all kinds of shenanigans happen. And that was charming and fun. So they had a really good and there was another one called The Magic of Lemon Drops, which was all about this woman. There's this like magic pie, and she every time that she eats one of these lemon drops in the lemon drop pie, she sees an alternate of her life, of what her life could have been if she had taken a different path. So so that was really charming and fun. And so I it's nice when they can take the basic formula and do something a little creative like that with it. And that's fun. But then I also, like I said, a Costa Rican wedding, like I also, that was one that had really good chemistry and it was funny. And so I enjoyed that. I also love me a good Cinderella story. I just, like I said, I like happy endings.
Can I ask for the board? Question for the board, starting with you, Rachel. What is your all-time favorite romantic film and why?
Well, I was actually going to ask you all that as well, so you beat me to it.
I asked you first.
I mean, I do think probably it's a battle between Bringing Up Baby and Christmas in Connecticut, if I'm going old school. I also love While You Were Sleeping. I think it's a perfect movie. So that's up there. But yeah, Bringing Up Baby is probably my favorite. It's so funny. Yeah.
How come? What about that movie makes you favorite?
Yeah, because it's so funny. And I mean, Katharine Hepburn's character is just unhinged and crazy. But he has basically, very great in that movie, has basically no choice. Like, he is going to be with her because she's never going away. And I don't know, I just think that's funny. So yeah, I'm also a huge sucker for musicals. So I love I love lots of musicals, Sound of Music. It's not a rom-com, but I love the Sound of Music. That's one of my favorite romances. Movie. It's one of my favorite movies. Yeah, Sound of Music.
Love it.
I don't know. What about you? What's your favorite?
No, Wex has to go next.
Oh, after you, Isaac.
No, I asked the question, which means ladies first. I don't know why that means that, but
I also love animation, so I love Anastasia, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid. Anastasia. All those are some of my favorites. Yeah. Cinderella.
Wex kind of got to wear the Anastasia dress for Royal Facade.
So. I did, which is funny because Anastasia is one of my favorite rom-coms. I like Anastasia.
It's so good.
I think my favorites are all animated. Like, I really am into Studio Ghibli.
I love it.
Don't you dare.
I love.
Don't you dare take mine.
There are a handful in there that are like probably my favorites. Yeah. And then Anastasia. Those are probably my favorite rom-coms. Not
what
rom-coms.
Makes them?
Well, I wouldn't say Studio Ghibli has any rom-coms, but yeah, I love.
Oh, them. You just wait till my turn.
Don't say Ponyo.
Wait, Wex, you have to say one, and you have to say why. You can't
why
just say,
they're my favorite romantic movies.
You can't just say they and then not even say why. You got to say at least one. And
but Anastasia is so good. It's got such good songs. And a lot of people don't like Rasputin, but like, I think it's funny. So I enjoy him.
It means he did a good job. People that when you don't like the villain, that means he did his job right.
Yeah, I think it was funny, and I love Dark of the Night. That's such a good banger.
That's a great song.
And the little bugs come in.
Yeah, and there's one that can hit the bass notes like nobody's business.
yeah, so good.
You're not getting out of this question, Wex.
but yeah, I mean, I love almost anything Nora Ephron did. She had a few clunkers, but I love You've Got Mail, When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle. All great.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan.
Yeah, Julie and Julia. So good.
Ryan Gosling.
That actually improved. Julie and Julia actually combines two books, and the actual book Julie and Julia was terrible. I hated it so much, and so they elevated it a lot.
So Wex, say one movie, the name of a movie, Wex, and why you like that one. And then
he's doing this because he knows I hate being put on the spot. And this is all that he did behind the scenes of Royal Facade all the time.
Ah.
I will answer this question if you answer it. If
I'll
I'm going
answer it.
taking everybody
I'm locked and loaded. I'm ready to go.
I think out of all of them, I have a favorite. I grew up really loving, there's a movie called Princess Mononoke.
Oh,
yes! I was gonna say that.
As yours or as your guess for mine?
That was mine.
No, it's a great movie.
It's always been my favorite growing up.
Yeah.
It's always been my favorite.
It's a good choice. I'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Factor Meals. Fall is here, and that means most of us are busier than ever before. School is back up, lots of activities are happening, and we need a way to make our lives easier and healthier. That's where Factor Meals comes in. Cooler days are here. Fuel up for these days with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time for all your fall activities thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. Head to factormeals.com/Hallmarkies50 and use code Hallmarkies50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code Hallmarkies50 at factormeals.com/Hallmarkies50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. So there's this scene where where you accuse him of being Bennington. You're just about to slug him. Was that fun? That must have been a fun scene.
Oh, that was the best.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of the whole movie, when she slams that book down. All right, let's go.
Yeah. I figured the physical comedy must have been pretty fun to do.
Mm-hmm.
Get into that.
Yeah. Isaac is king at that. There's a part, this kills me every time. It's like he rounds the corner when you remember there's like Dave Martinez, who's wearing this beanie, who plays a character that's always just kind of hanging around like the shop, And so Isaac comes around a bush and like he's waiting for him. He's like, "Hey, Anderson." And Isaac just has this moment where he's like, like backs into his bush, like has like a silent attack. And it's moments like that bring a character to life. But that's how he is in real Dave life. Like that wasn't scripted. That was just Isaac being Isaac. Mm-hmm. But that's what made the movie so brilliant and why so many people loved it, was because of Anderson and how Isaac portrayed him.
Yeah,
but fun. That's one of my favorite parts.
It's Paul's writing.
Was it fun, like them setting up this whole festival at the end, seeing that kind of come, this fake festival, this
like behind the scenes on the set?
Seeing that all kind of come to.
It was really cool to have. Sorry, Wex, I just jumped right on.
No, you're good. Keep going.
That was really awesome to see how many people showed up for that. Pretty much this whole movie was just like, from the get-go, they were very like, they cast me initially, and then they had to do some chemistry reads before they cast the female. And so there was kind of Leo. And so when they, at the end of my callback, when they essentially like, "All right, other guy, you can go out and wait. Isaac, stay behind." So here's the deal. Like, we don't have all the money in the world, but we're still going to make the heck out of this thing. And we're committed to this. We're going to make it no matter what. And so, me and Wex have both been in this industry for close to a decade. And you've done our fair share in the trenches of student films, the indie films, the people that are just like, "Hey, I want to make a movie," and you show up and they never made a movie and they don't really know what they're doing. I'm working on one of those right now. And like, so you never know what to expect. And from like day one showing up, I'm like, oh, there's a trailer here and there's a makeup van and there's a lot of people here helping. It's not just like one guy trying to do everything. The amount of people that came together, from crew to just people that showed up to do background. Like when I've tried to make movies in the past, I'm just very bad at this. I need a Jade in my corner, and a Tiffany and an Ethan that like, I'll be like, hey, can I just get one person to hold the sound, the boomstick for the day, and I will do everything else, and just trying to find that one person. And they're getting all these people to do background. So on that day, man, they had like, not Crumble. What was the other cookie company?
Oh, cookies. Yeah. Crave.
I should Crave, because I know they're also were sponsoring the film too. But like from that stuff to all these people that showed up, it was just like the biggest thing was like, holy cow, there's this many people that believe in this project. There's this many people that are willing to give up their time to come make this happen, both behind the camera and in front of the camera. And that was just kind of the coolest part of that, was like, oh, we're making a real movie here.
Yeah. I do love that community spirit that you get with these small indies. I think it's really fun. I also thought the guy playing Bennington's agent, he was funny.
That's Paul. He is the writer. Director.
Oh, he was? Oh, okay.
He's the voice of Mountain Dew and Pepsi. He's a multifaceted individual.
He was good. I liked him. He was very funny. So yeah, I enjoyed it. You kind of have to. I do believe in sort of as a film critic, I do believe in judging something for what it's trying to be. Like, I'm not putting up these Hallmark movies. I'm not judging them the same way I look at an Oscar contender. It's just, I'm just not.
Oh, 100%.
I'm like, is it a successful Hallmark movie? Is it a successful rom-com? Does it make me feel good? Is it fun? Do they have good chemistry? Is the banter good? Is the pacing good? Those are all things that I'm looking for in my stories. And so I think for what this was trying to be, I think it was pretty successful, and I enjoyed it. So I like to end our interview with just some rapid fire get to know you questions. So first question is, was the best ice cream flavor? Why don't you start, Wade?
Oh, I don't know. This one's an impossible one for me because I just really like ice cream, which I shouldn't have because I'm actually lactose sensitive. So that's fun. Yeah, I don't know. Anything with a good blend of like I tend to like things that are like very vanilla based with a whole bunch of chocolate and crap thrown in. So
yeah, it's like cookie dough or something like that. What about you, Isaac?
Reese's peanut butter cup, cookie dough, and chocolate chip ice cream.
What's your favorite color?
Black.
I think it's black.
Both black? Oh, wow.
I'm changing my answer to blue.
What music are you into?
Oh my gosh. A lot of music. Wex is an audiophile. She shares a lot of music with me still to this day. And we share playlists. I think after meeting her, my playlist went from like 150 songs to like 600 songs.
Your Spotify expanded.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, I will give people music. It's a thing that I do. Like, I'll make people playlists. I'm very into music.
Her taste is very moody and depressing. She loves the dark vampiric moodiness.
Spotify 1 year classified me as a vampire, and Isaac will never let that go.
You got a rainy day. She's got you covered. So
a lot of The Cure hanging out. Okay. What is your go-to date night food?
Chinese.
Ooh, it's gotta be sushi or Indian.
Good choice. What is your go-to date night activity if you're going out doing something?
Driving around being like, oh wow, isn't this nice? There's no kids yelling.
That sounds good. Yeah. What about you, Abe? What's your ideal date?
I don't know. It honestly just kind of depends on the mood, what I'm in the mood for, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything that I think creates a lot of like laughter and like grounded moments and stuff, you know. Yeah. Or like root with spontaneity, stuff like that.
Yeah. Which do you like better, dogs or cats?
Cats. She's a dog person.
I'm a dog person.
Dog. Okay, good. Which do you like better, beaches or mountains?
Mountains.
Well, we all live in Utah, so do we have to say mountains?
Mountain.
What's your favorite holiday to celebrate?
4th of July. Soccer.
Don't do it first. 4th of July is also my favorite holiday.
I know, that's why.
And I was like, now it just sounds like I'm copying Isaac.
All right, last question. So you asked me earlier, what is your favorite Hallmark or romantic movie?
We already said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Princess Mononoke.
That is not a romantic movie, but okay.
Isaac's just copying all my answers, really.
The part where the heads are getting severed and the demon is like, it's just so the love.
I mean, I love me some Princess Mononoke. So if I was Studio Ghibli,
like this,
probably,
I don't get it.
Like From Up on Poppy Hill or The Wind Rises, it would probably be the most rom-com. I mean, romantic, not rom-com.
Most romantic, probably.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting.
I think it depends on how you define like romance. You know,
yeah.
Like to me, I can see like Castle in the Sky is another one of my favorites. As is Howl's Moving Castle is great. But then you have things like Ponyo, where it's like that's to me romance in a different type of way.
Well, I mean, both of those are about children, so. So
I had my first crush.
I was just gonna say, look, I had my first boyfriend in kindergarten. Wait, sorry, Isaac, you had your first crush when? When?
I think it was like kindergarten or first grade. My siblings made me yell out in the tent. Kelsey Johnson, I love you.
Well, very good. You did it. You answered all the questions. So if people want to check out Royal Facade, I will put a link, an affiliate link in the description. People can check it out. And I don't know if either of you have social media you want to share or anything like that.
I'm at Puddle Slayer. There's an underscore between Puddle and Slayer.
That's your real name? Username?
That's my Instagram handle.
Yeah. No puddle is safe around Isaac Akers.
There you go.
Slay them all.
Yeah.
I laugh at his. That mine is probably the same playing field. Mine's at ambidextrous, which is like the word ambidextrous, but I replace it with the W because my name is Wex. That's what I go by.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool. Ambidextrous.
Very good. I did it. I'll put all that in the description and people just check it out. And thanks so much for coming to talk with us.
Thanks for having us.
We'd like to thank Wei and Isaac for coming on the podcast. It's so much fun to get to meet them and talk with them. And let me know if you get to see the movie, what you think of it. It definitely has a very, very small budget, but I thought the script was solid and the performances were fun. So let me know what you think. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. Really appreciate that. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out our Patreon group. That's the biggest way you can support us, and the merch store. We have lots of fun fall inspired merch, so you want to take a look at that. And thanks again to Wei and Isaac. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.